G'day team. I hope you still got your goggles on because the deep dive into the Revit user interface continues. In this video, we're going to be going over the Manage ribbon. So we'll kick off with the Materials button here. So you click the Materials button and all of the materials which are already in use in the job will kind of show up here. Pretty much everything is going to have a material assigned to a surface. So this roof, if we go to edit type, go edit, you can see that the finish, or the top layer is roofing wood shake. So if we were to change this to roofing asphalt single shingle, it's going to change obviously the appearance of the roof. But rather than going into the roof itself to edit the appearance of that material, you can click on the Materials button up here, and this is the same thing that we just applied, and then you can apply some surface patterns. You can change the appearance. So this part of appearance is more the realistic / rendering settings, and the graphics is just how it appears in like plans and elevations. So if we wanted to put a little surface pattern on the roof like such, relatively straightforward. But managing and modifying materials to show up exactly how you want can be a little bit tricky when you're getting into the the appearance side of things. Graphics is all relatively straightforward, but appearance is where it gets a bit tricky, where you've got stuff like bump maps and tints and etc. That will obviously be a video in of itself, but just for a basic understanding and overview, then I think we pretty much covered it. So pretty much everything is going to have a material. Pretty much anything can have that material interchanged and modified, essentially. One thing to note, if you wanted to duplicate the material, so say you really like this asphalt shingle, I keep saying single, but asphalt shingle material, say we want to call it 2. If you want to make changes to this without it affecting the first one, you have to click on this duplicate this asset button, and then it's going to feel like nothing happens, but then it will you'll be able to make changes to this without changing this as well. It's a bit weird, but I feel like it's worth noting. Okay, up next we have object styles. So object styles is the default appearance of whatever these things are in the standard view. So this is, if you remember back to the view ribbon where we went through visibility graphics, how you can change and override projection, surface patterns, etc. of each of these elements. The object styles is like the foundation or the base, or how they're going to default appear before you make any changes to the visibility graphics. Okay, so say you wanted to override a specific element of the windows. So you go to Object Styles, scroll down to Windows, and you click the little plus here, and it's going to bring up all the different kind of elements within the window type. So say we want the frame / mullion, the projection line of the frames and mullions, to be really thick. We'll change that to 8. Go apply and then OK, and you can see that they're pretty wild now, and that will be reflected everywhere because object styles is the default appearance of the elements or model components. Same deal with annotation objects, imported objects. It's very similar to visibility graphics, but object styles is kind of the foundation that you're using the visibility graphics overrides to make changes from. So snaps is, man, I'm never really clicked this, hey. these should always be set up. I'm sure there's some settings which have some benefit, but honestly, I've never even looked at this. Project information is just the basic information about the project, which it just sounds like a cop-out, but yeah, a lot of this stuff is going to be used in the title, like the title blocks. So that's where you add, like, the address, suburb, whatever. This is a pretty trash title block. Yeah, it doesn't tell you anything, but yeah, most title blocks should give you a sense of, this is 123 Fake Street in, Redfield, whatever suburb. So project parameters and shared parameters. Getting into parameters is getting a bit further into the weeds than a user interface overview video needs to go. So I'll bookmark these and return at a later date. Okay, so transfer project standards is if you've got a job which has a heap of more up-to-date, hatch patterns, standards, whatever. So you click that and you'll be copying it from, let's just say, commercial sample project. All of these different things can be imported and then overridden in this job and applied as the new standard. So if we were to go OK, it's going to ask us if we want to overwrite all of these things or if we want to only transfer the new things. Generally you want to go overwrite because it's going to be because you're working on an old job and you've got a new job open and you want to grab the stuff from the new job because it's newer and better. So you just go overwrite and then it's going to think for a little while. Okay, purge unused. This is a great tool for if you're trying to reduce file size or if you've got to send the file out of the office and you want to just give them the model itself or just reduce the amount of intellectual property in there. So you click on that. There's a check all and check none up here. Generally, if I wanted to purge, so say I wanted to purge just one thing, the first thing I want to do is go check none, and then I'll select whatever I want to purge and get, just pretty much delete it from the file, and then double check that it says number of items checked is 1, and then go OK, and then it's gone. That's gone from the file. It's been purged. Okay, so you'll notice this residential sample project is in feet and inches. So in Australia, we use millimeters as the standard for planning and drafting. So if we were going over to manage project units, and you can change all of the different kind of units and the format of them in here. So we change feet to millimeters in the format of length and distance. It will update all of those dimensions. If you're ever having a drama with that, it may be because there's another Revit file open which is using a different unit of measurements. So I've had that problem before, but yeah, hopefully it'll just work first time for you and you'll be able to get that changed, no worries. So additional settings here. So line styles, line weights, and line patterns. Line weights and line patterns are two kind of supplementary tools to go with line styles. Line styles is where you essentially just manage the line styles in the project. So say we were to make a new line called new example. We're going to give it a line weight of 4, change the color to green, and then the line pattern can be let's go Doppelter Strick, and then go apply and OK. So if we wanted to draw that detail line or use that line style now, go over to annotate, detail line, and then over in line styles, this is where it's going to pop up. So it's new example. So the line weights is where you can change the line weights in different kind of categories. You probably shouldn't be having to go into this too often unless you need to really fix something up. Same deal with line patterns. If you were to change, like it's a relatively comprehensive list of line patterns. If there's something in here that can't really suit your needs, you may be needing to look into a line-based detail group or something like that. Like if you were wanting to put like little letters in between the dashes here, that's not what lines do in Revit. You'll have to use a line-based detail component for that. Sheet issues and revisions, that's the same as in view revisions. We've been over this. Fill patterns is if you're wanting to modify the fill patterns. I feel like these are such bad explanations, but a lot of these things are pretty straightforward. It's kind of just getting your head at like the fact that they are there and they exist, I guess. The annotations tool is handy if you want to change the arrowheads, temporary dimensions, and section elevation, call out tags, etc. Halftone and underlay. So this is going to override how your underlays and halftone applies. So by default, halftone is 50%. So if we wanted to make this wall halftone, you go override graphics in view by element halftone and then apply OK. So see how it's now kind of lost half of its life, I guess you could say. Additionally, you can change how intense that halftone is. So if we were to say it's 2, it's just about invisible now. But generally, you're going to leave it at 50%. I've never needed to really change that. So sun settings is, I can't actually click that one because this is Revit LT. But if you're doing solar studies and you're wanting to change the position of the sun, time of day, etc., that would be what that is. Material assets. This is going to bring up the same dialog box as we had in the materials thing over here. So it's pretty much taking you to the same place, just about. Detail level is the same button as down here. So just controlling if you're in coarse, medium, or fine. And going to it through additional settings is going to change how the new views that you create show up by default. But you can change it at any time. Change the detail level at any time. I mean. Assembly code, to be honest, I'm not sure what this does. I've never needed to use it. And multiple values indication, same deal. Yeah, I've never needed to press that button before in the 10 years I've been drawing houses, so useful. Location is if you are wanting to actually set the location of your project to actually where it is. This will be handy for creating, and if you're doing a solar study, you need to set the location to actually where the house is. That's just a given. And it's just as easy as using a address search and then applying the shadows and going through and doing your shadow diagrams like that. Once again, shadow diagrams video for the future. So if you're working in a job with coordinates, this is where you can kind of specify coordinates at a point. Report coordinates. I don't use this tool much because we just draw singular houses by themselves. We're not doing massive multi-acre commercial jobs where coordinates and that like Navisworks files, anything like that has been brought into it. So there'll be videos on YouTube about what to do about this, but I don't have much experience with it. So position is it's an interesting tool. Well, it's an interesting group of tools. A lot of these things are going to get their own videos because they're actually quite tricky. Manage links is the same deal as in insert, and same deal with manage images. Phasing is extremely important to know if you're going to be doing any kind of renovation work, and will 100% get its own video later on. But essentially you want to draw the new house in the existing phase. Everything that's in the new construction phase will be phased as new construction, and anything that you're getting rid of the existing phase will be the demolished phase. But that is an oversimplification of a complicated little topic. Select by ID, I've never pressed that. Warnings is just going to be if whatever warnings you've got because you've been a bit shady with putting your project together. So this is about publishing your project to the cloud, which, to be honest, I've never done. We'll print it to PDF and issue it to the clients from there, but I'm sure there's some offices out there that use this. So with shared views, if you click on that, it's going to open up the shared views box, and it's essentially going to it's going to create a version of the 3D model which is free of all of the views and settings and intellectual property, and it's going to be viewable by anyone who has the link. It essentially just creates a version of this that people can have a look at without needing to own Revit software. But to be honest, most of the people that we do plans for aren't really that tech savvy enough to use a feature like this. So while it's a good idea, I don't think it's super practical. But yeah, one for the future, but cool to know that it exists in any case. So we're pretty much there. We've only got modify to go next, and then we're going to get into some more fun stuff. So as always, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your patience, and I hope you got something out of this. Appreciate you very much, and thank you.